The world is under a giant threat right now. I'm not talking about a virus or meteors or anything like that, but we're talking about the ancient gods, the ancient ones. They're giant gods that live underneath us, under the ground. And they could come up at any point and overtake the world if they choose to. So what we're doing is we're about to experience why they aren't coming out. We're going into the cabin in the woods. And what this basically means is there's an organization that will sacrifice certain people once a year to prevent these gods from coming up. If we can make these ancient gods happy, then they won't take over. All right? So different countries have different ceremonies. Everywhere from Rangoon to Kyoto. We're about to go to the American arena and see what the sacrifice is for our country. And the sacrifice involves 5 unknowing kids who go into a cabin in the woods. Sound familiar, right? We have certainly done some parodying of earlier classics like The Evil Dead for this tongue-in-cheek horror film. But anyways, bottom line, these 5 kids, they are going to be sacrificed one at a time. And if that happens, the gods will be pleased. Now, we have found out something bad has happened at this particular location. The cameras have broken. So we are a repair team sent in to fix the cameras. So that's all we need to do is make sure that the cameras work fine and stay out of the way of the ritual sacrifice that's taking place. So do not mess with those 5 token characters that are going to meet their fates. And definitely don't mess with the Buckner family, which are redneck zombie torture family that wants to kill them. So stay out of all of their way, okay? And what we want also make sure we avoid is going underground into the facility. That's where the facility is kept, underneath us. And if we have to go down there, well, that's where they keep all the monsters that have lived amongst us for all these years.
What we're going to head next is into Resident Evil Escape from Raccoon City. Know what you guys pretty much saw with Cabin in the Woods, and when we encounter with Evil Dead is we love to immerse our guests into their environment. What we're doing here with Resident Evil is we are putting you guys right in the center of the events of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Both of them are video games put out for PlayStation in 1998 and 1999 respectively. So you're going to be seeing 2 different characters as well as a lot of creatures in the games themselves. You're going to see Leon Kennedy, you'll hear the voice of Claire Redfield, and you will also see Jill Valentine. Jill Valentine is a member of STARS, which is the Special Tactics and Rescue Service group. And you will see characters like Lickers, you will see Cerberuses, which are very mean-looking dogs, very dead-looking ones too. And you're also going to see Nemesis himself, along with a lot of other zombies. Now, very much like in the game, and pretty much in each room that you go to in the games, there is an illuminated object. An object that may help you gain ammo or may help boost your health itself. We did that pretty much with this house as well. You will see a light shining on a particular item, and whether it's an herb plant or a lighter or a box of ammo, each room has a different illuminated object.
All right, the next house is an American Werewolf in London. I know you guys got to hear Mr. Landis talk about this film for some time. He's very animated, yes, very cool. So you're going to see the house now in person. It's great because we're going to recreate some of the early sequences where the backpacking friends, Jack and David, enter the slaughtered lamb. They're warned not to go too far off the beaten path, but of course they do. Jack gets mauled by a wolf and dies, while David gets mauled by a wolf but lives. So he is going to turn into a werewolf by the light of the full moon. So some of the first things that we're going to see after the wolf attack are going to be some of the nightmares that David suffers. Those are big key scenes in the movie as well. And then after that, after the nightmares are done, you're going to see the full-fledged wolf that he turns into and how it tears apart London. First house we're going to do, it's called Evil Dead. It's based on the 2013 version of the film, which of course is a remake of the Sam Raimi classics from the 1980s. And what happens here are there are 5 kids that are taking a trip out to a cabin in the woods. Their names are David, their names are Eric, their names are Mia, Olivia, and Natalie. Now if you take the first letters of each of their names, D-E-M-O-N, Demon. That kind of tells you right off the bat, things aren't going to go so well for these guys. So what happens early on is they're going to find a book, the Naturom de Monto, or the Book of the Dead. And it's going to tell them specifically not to read passages from the book. Guess what they do?
They read
Read the passages from the book. And from there, they're going to be possessed by evil spirits one by one by one by one. So we're going to check out what's happening with life for these guys. And if you're ready, we're about to head inside evil. Havoc derailed. A few years ago, we did a house called Havoc Dogs of War. They're about super soldiers who got a lot of acclaim. The house got a lot of acclaim. Every one of the characters had to shave their heads for that house back in 2010. They were really pumped up and juiced up to perform in the house. Now this year, the house is based on the same group of super soldiers. They're on a trail. A military train, and what's going to happen to the train? Well, you'll see, because you're going to be at the beginning of the train. It's going to go faster and faster and become derailed. And inside the train are not only the super soldiers, but the people inside that are doing extra experiments on these super soldiers. They may get their comeuppance. Okay? So it's called Havoc Derailed. Next house we're going into, it's called Afterlife, Death's Vengeance, and it involves a character named Bobby the Blade Galetta. He went on a killing spree a long time ago, and therefore he became electrocuted with old Sparky, the electric chair. But our story is going to pick up at his electrocution and what happens afterwards when his victims meet him in the afterlife to torment him. So make sure you grab a pair of 3D glasses so we can see what happens in the afterlife from Jeremy as we head on in this direction.
No, they call her by a different name. La Llorona.
So as you can hear, the house we're about to go into, it's called Urban Legends La Llorona. That way. For those who don't know the urban legend well, La Llorona wanted a rich nobleman who didn't want kids, so she drowned her own kids. And when he approached her with that news, he said he was disgusted and didn't want her at all anymore. So for self-pity, she drowned herself in the same stream that she drowned her kids in. So it's a popular Mexican legend, and we're going to live it firsthand. Alright, what we're about to see here takes place starting in the third season. For those that don't know what The Walking Dead are, they are a group of people that have been reanimated after after dying, and they are populating the Earth at a ratio of about 5,000 to 1. So that's how many walkers there are for every human being. We're about to go into the beginning of season 3, and there are two main sets in season 3. One of them is a prison where some of the survivors have hidden, and the other area is Woodbury, a seemingly utopian city run by somebody named the Governor, who may not be all that he seems cracked up to be. So we're going to see both Woodbury and the West Georgia Correctional Facility. And we're going to walk in the paths of the